Ladies and gentlemen, I have exciting news to report. Before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, my name's Craig, and I just did that intro really weird. I don't know why I paused. It's almost like I was a journalist or something like that. Not journalist, like a news reporter. I am not that. I'm just a dude in the basement. So anyways, with all that being said, the Lions are getting great news. Here's my question for you. As we enter this offseason, we're a top 10 team in having spending money. We have a decent, not great, but an okay amount of draft capital. What is the position you feel the Detroit Lions need to spend the most attention on? Whether that's spending the most money, whether that's going in the draft, what position do you feel like the Lions need to address the most? Is it edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson? Is it the defensive interior? Do we need another corner, free safety? What are you thinking? Is it interior offensive line? Let me know what your thoughts are. Is it a third wide receiver? I don't know. What position do you feel like we need to address the most? But speaking of positions that we need to address, one that was brutal for us last year was on the edge after Aiden Hutchinson went down. And Aiden Hutchinson, let me tell you right now, had some really good things to say. He appeared on the Pat McAfee show, and he was able to say some things that made me very happy. And when Pat McAfee asked him, do you think you will be back for the Super Bowl? I'm going to let you listen to his response. Here you go.
Hey, let's talk about your recovery.
Let's talk.
They're saying you would have been able to.
You never know. I think so. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would. The world will never know, though.
Okay, so
know?
how do you feel?
I feel good. Well, I mean, we'll be wrapping up rehab pretty soon, and then I'm going to move on with my life.
Okay.
So one thing's funny is he was clearly nervous because he was on Pat McAfee, and maybe I would, maybe I would. What he meant to say is maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. And then he said, I'll move on with my life. What he meant to say is I'll move on with my life, right? So, I mean, he's nervous on that. But here's the thing that we have to take away from it. And then I got a couple of other things. Something that is just, it made me so angry. And then another thing that I want to remind everybody of how good we've got it. So I got two things after I'm going to finish up talking about Hutchinson. But when Hutch is saying a couple things, when he's saying, I think I could have made it back, basically what he's saying is probably not, right? But at the same time, he said, I'm wrapping up my rehab pretty soon. When you wrap up rehab, it means you're fully healthy. Like, I mean, I'm not saying he's 100%. He's going to go back and he can do everything he needs to do and he can get back on the football field in a week and be 100%. What I'm saying is if he's wrapping up his rehab here in the next few weeks to a month, then that means he has 5 to 6 months to strengthen, to heal even more, and to just get from the end of rehab back to 100% normal. This is phenomenal news. We all knew he would be back for the beginning of next season. The question always was, what level of Aiden Hutchinson are we going to get? Are we going to get 100%? Are we going to get 90? Are we going to get 85? And you'd listen to different doctors talk about, like, yes, it is possible that he's back like it was and he never missed a beat. But it's a hard injury to recover from to get to 100% right away. So if you do that recovery really, really fast and you heal all that up, then the good news is that you have more time to get yourself back to normal. Everybody keeps forgetting. We are still obsessed. We are still obsessed with talking about Max Crosby. We're still obsessed with talking about Myles Garrett. And we're talking about all of these things, and what we forget is we have Max Crosby. We have Myles Garrett. And his name is Aiden Hutchinson. We keep forgetting this. And I think, we saw the injury, so we're like, oh, man, it's so fragile. Everything's fragile. If Jared Goff goes down, what then? If Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down, what then? If Gibbs goes down, everything is fragile. If Penei Sewell gets hurt, what does our team look like? Every NFL team is fragile. When you have remarkable players and those remarkable players get hurt, you're screwed. Like, that's the way it goes. That's what happens. All right, here's for my next one. I want to talk about this a little bit. Coach of the Year. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Donnell. Okay. What? He's a great coach. I mean, don't get me wrong. The NFL honors, NFL Game Day, Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell. The same Kevin O'Connell who lost to Dan Campbell twice. The same Kevin O'Connell who finished second in the division behind Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. Oh, yeah, but the Lions, they laid an egg against the Commanders. So did the Vikings. They lost in the first round. They lost 2 playoff games, if you can imagine it. They lost the first playoff game to the Lions, which was to get the first round bye, and they lost the second playoff game, which was an actual playoff game. This is the kind of stuff that drives me nuts. And you can sit here and you can be like, oh, well, look at the roster. Like, the Lions were expected to be good and the Vikings were expected to finish 3rd or 4th in the division. Well, the Lions were expected to finish first. They finished first in the NFC. They were expected to win the division, but they won the NFC. Like, what are we talking about? You can talk about roster all you want. We just talked about Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson was out for the last 12 games of the year. Our entire defensive line missed most of the year, it felt like. We had linebackers out, corners out. Like, the amount of injuries we had, they didn't go through that. Dan Campbell is a phenomenal coach, and it's a struggle for me that he took this team from absolute, let's be real, it was garbage, to the cream of the crop. And over that 4 years, he has yet to get recognition for it on Coach of the Year. Other people get recognition for making the team and turnarounds. Dan Campbell just did it in a perfectly linear fashion and doesn't get credit for it. He just got, 6 games better, 3 games better, 3 games better. And so he never had that just nastiness, that huge turnaround. That bothers me. There's another thing that I want to remind everybody of. This is your final MVP voting, okay? This is your final MVP voting. And when you look at this, you see Josh Allen who wins it over Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley. Again, just proof that a running back cannot win this award. Like, if anybody was going to do it, a guy who rushes for 2,000 yards is going to be the one who does it. And people were saying if he broke the record with that large of a disparity and that large of a gap, he could have broken the NFL single-season rushing record and wouldn't have gotten it. He needed more touchdowns. That's kind of his issue. I don't like that Joe Burrow finished ahead of Jared Goff, but whatever. But I just want to remind everybody, let's look at the names that Jared Goff finished in front of for MVP voting. He finished in front of Patrick Mahomes. He finished in front of Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. He finished in front of Justin Herbert, Jamar Chase, Sam Darnold, of course, Baker Mayfield, right? This is the same Jared Goff that we had fans clamoring to get out of here after we lost to the Commanders. He finished 5th in the MVP voting. 5th. People are saying he's not worth the contract we gave. 5th in MVP. You can say it's because he has a good offensive line. You can say it's because he was in a good system with Ben Johnson. You can say it's because he had Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, whatever you want to say. Guess what? Other players that are on this list have talent around them too. I do think Josh Allen won this award because he had the least talent around him on the offensive side of the ball. He just did. All right, and he didn't put up crazy numbers. He just was really good. So I understand it. If you look at just passing numbers alone, Jared Goff blows Josh Allen out of the water. He really does. I think losing that duel to him probably hurt as well. So, yes, just remember, Jared Goff, we can't sit here and say we don't have a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He finished as a top 5 player in the MVP voting. And guess what? And I want to be clear about this. It wasn't like it was that close. He was almost double the next person. Not double. He was not double, but he finished comfortably ahead of Mahomes, and then nobody else even had consideration. He had double the third place votes. 6 people in the voting thought he could get third. Like, so they basically put him behind Allen and Lamar. Just thoughts for you. All right, what do you think about Jared Goff? What do you think about this team? How pumped are you for the Aiden Hutchinson news on his injury? Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.